Chimbua chia sia huaria huashiwadia wadia shi ha chukuilan shua ha shu Shia shi u in u wa ha ha.
Hey guys, this is Shenron, and I am gonna discuss the 3 ways of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation with experiments. First, conduction. Conduction is the heat transfer by molecular contact. It is perhaps the most common, and occurs regularly in nature. It occurs when you press your hand onto a window pane, when you place a pot of water on an active element, and when you place an iron in the fire. It is most effective on solids. And for the experiment, the materials needed are a mug, 1 metal straw and 1 plastic straw, hot water, and butter. Put your hot water to your mug. Place your straws inside the mug. Then put butter on top of the straws. Then wait for 15 minutes. As you can see, there are more melted butter on the metal straw. Different materials have some varying abilities to conduct heat. Materials that conduct heat poorly, like plastic and wood, are often called insulators. However, materials that conduct heat well, like metals, are called conductors. In the experiment, the metal straw had more melted butter on it compared to the other 2 because of the metallic bonds that are made from a lattice of ions in a cloud of free electrons. These free electrons are responsible for the ability of metals to conduct heat well. For example, when you touch something metal first, it feels cold, right? You know why? This is because metals are good conductors, causing the heat from your fingers to be sucked out. Convection. Convection is the heat transfer through density differences. This mode of heat transfer, which occurs mostly in liquids and gases. In this method, heat transfer takes place with the actual motion of matter from one place within the body to the other. Like when we boil water, we have seen bubbles and currents develop in the water on careful observation. For the experiment, the materials needed are 2 plastic bottles, cold water and hot water, food coloring, and I use blue ternate because I have only 1 color of food coloring, and some cards. First, I dye the cold water to orange and hot water to blue. Then I place the cold water to one of the bottles and hot water to the other. Flip the bottle with the cold water while securing the card in place. Then place it on top of the other bottle. Lastly, quickly remove the card. Then observe the convection currents. Convection current forms because heated fluid expands, becoming less dense. The less dense the fluid, heated fluid rises away from the heat source. As it rises, it pulls cooler fluid down to replace it. This fluid in turn heats and cools, and pulls down more cold fluid. This cycle establishes a circular current that stops only when heat is evenly distributed throughout the fluid. In the experiment, it makes use of colored liquids of different temperature, orange for cold water, and blue color for hot water. When the bottle of warm water is placed on top of the cold water, the more dense cold water is placed in the bottom bottle and the less hot water is confined to the top bottle. Radiation is the transfer of heat through the motion of waves. Both conduction and convection require a medium to transfer heat. However, radiation is a method of heat transfer that does not rely on any contact between the source and object whose heat transfer is by electromagnetic waves. No material required, and can occur in space. The materials needed for the experiment are 2 plastic bottles, some ice cubes, and hot water and cold water. First, put hot water on one of the plastic bottles and cold on the other one. Then put ice cubes on the top of the bottles. Wait for 15 minutes. Lastly, notice the fog of the hot water thickens. In the experiment, the fog was formed in the hot water condition because of the radiation of cooling, which is a process by thermal radiation. A layer of warm moist air forms by the hot water source and the layer of cooler dry air forms above it due to the ice above it. As the water cools down in achieving thermal equilibrium by irradiation, the warm moist air is cooled quickly. As the air temperature lowers, the fog starts to manifest as small droplets of water condensed. This doesn't occur in the cold water condition because the effects of radiation cooling are insignificant. Thank you for watching.